Okay, we are on 2728, number 2, page 148, number 12. On page 148, number 12, if B is the midpoint of AC, so I'm going to go ahead and I got to go statement, and I got to go reason. So I am given B is midpoint of AC, so B is midpoint of AC, and D is midpoint of CE, so D is midpoint of CE, and AB is congruent to DE. This is all given. I have to prove that AE equals 4AB. So AE equals 4AB. So here's my picture. If this is my picture, if B is the midpoint of AC, so when I go back and I look at my little notes that I can use, I actually have a segment bisector. Any segment line or plane that intersects a segment and its midpoint makes two congruent segments. So this is the same as segment bisector is the same as it being a midpoint. So if I know that B is the midpoint of AC, then I know that AC has to be congruent to, or not AC, sorry, AB is congruent to BC. AB has to be congruent to BC. If D is the midpoint of CE, let me fix my focus. If DE is the midpoint, if D is the midpoint of CE, then I know that CD is congruent to DE. So I know that CD has to be congruent to DE. And this is the definition of midpoint. Or you could say this is definition of segment bisector. So I know that AB is congruent to DE. So if AB is congruent to DE, then I know that CD, so this is given, so I know that AB is the same, so BC would be another, so this could be considered AB. I know that AB is, if it's congruent to DE, then I know AB is also congruent to CD. And this is substitution is what I did. So I actually know that all of these are the same. That's what I just proved. If all of those are the same, then I know based off of segment addition that if I have two things between two other things, that it has to equal the whole thing. So by segment addition postulate, I know that AB plus BC plus CD plus DE has to equal the entire thing AE. Because it has to equal the entire thing, all of these are the same as AB. So I really have AB plus AB plus AB plus AB. That equals AE. And all I did is I substituted. 1, 2, 3, 4, so I actually have 4AB. And this is equal to AE. And what I did is I substituted that as well. I simplified. So that is the proof. and I can go ahead and flip that, and I can say AE is the same as 4AB, and we've been working on this, that this is really the transitive property, transitive. No, not transitive, sorry, commutative. If the left side equals the right, then the right equals the left. So here we go, page 141, number 26. So here's my statements, here's my reasons. So we're doing the same thing again. So statements, reasons. If measure angle MPN is congruent to measure angle QPN, then I need to solve for X. So angle MPN is congruent to angle QPN. Okay? That is given. So then what I know is if that is given, then I know that measure angle, so then I know that angle MPN has to equal, so measure angle MPN has to equal measure angle QPN, and that's definition of congruency. Now I can go ahead and substitute that x plus 26 has to equal 2x plus 10, and I substitute it. After I substitute, I can subtract x to both sides, and I get 26 equals x plus 10, and what I did is I subtracted, subtraction, and I substituted again, because I simplified. If I get rid of the 10 now, I get 16 equals x, and I subtracted, subtraction property of equality, and I substituted. And I have to prove that x equals 16. So then what I do is I flip this. And the way in which I flip is this is the commutative property. So I'm done. Page 520, number 9. Okay? A replica of the thinker. So a replica of the thinker is 10 inches tall. A statue of the thinker is 10 feet tall. What's the scale? So I have to say 10 inches over 10 feet. And how many inches is equal, or actually how many feet are equal to 1 inch? Because that's what a scale factor is I have to get the 1. So then what I can do is I can simplify, or I can cross multiply 10x equals 10, so x has to equal 1. So for every inch, we have 1 foot. That's my scale factor. Page 202, number 1. Write an equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept. They gave me m equals 4, and they gave me the y-intercept is -3. The 4 goes in the m, the y-intercept goes for the b, y equals 4x minus 3. That is slope-intercept form. Number 4. On number 4, it says write an equation in point-slope form of the given line that contains the slope and the point-slope form. If I look back at point-slope form, here is point-slope form. So point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. So y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. So I go ahead and I plug in what I'm given. So on number 4, I am given My slope is 5. This is my x1, this is my y1. So, y minus my y1 is negative 2. My slope was 5. X minus my x1 is 3. So my point slope would be y plus 2 equals 5x minus 3. This stays as point slope form. Number 7. It says graph the line. Don't worry about graphing the line. I just want point slope form. Write an equation of the line through each pair of points and slope intercept. So I'm given 0, negative 1, and I'm given 4, 4. Here's my x1, y1, x2, y2. Before I can go ahead and plug into point slope form, I have to get the slope. So my slope would be 4 minus negative 1 over 4 minus 0. So that would be 4 plus 1 is 5 over 4. So I know my slope is 5 over 4. So my point slope, this is my m, and let's go ahead and use this point as my x1, y1. Y minus y1, negative 1, equals my m, 5 over 4. X minus x1 is 0. This is really y plus 1. That's in point slope form. Page 196, 61. The area of a circle is 20 pi square centimeters. What is the circumference? So I know that the area of a circle is pi r squared. I know that the circumference is 2 pi r. They gave me the area is 20 pi. That means that r squared has to be 20. That means that my r would be the square root of 20. So then my circumference would have to be 2 pi times square root 20. I know that the square root of 20 would be 2 and 10, 2 and 5. So this actually simplifies to 2 square root 5. 2 times 2 would be 4 square root 5 pi. 4 square root 5 pi would be C. Letter C would be correct. Last problem, number 60. Jamie is collecting money to buy an $81 gift for her teacher. She has contributed 24. She will collect 3 from each contributing student. How many other students must contribute? So from each contributing student, so my variable is students that are contributing. That means that 3 has to be connected to my x. So I know that 3 is connected to my x. The person has already paid 24, and she has to collect 81 total dollars. Subtract 24, so 3x equals, that's 57. Let me make sure. 81 minus 24 gives me 57. If I divide by 3, x would be 19. So there are 19 students. And I'm done.